Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy
Hey Beer Geeks, a very Merry Christmas to you. This is our festive episode, our first ever annual festive episode. And we've got two very special guests which we'll be introducing in a second. But first, I'll let Rob say a word.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, we're back. We're back to the normal format. We've got a guest, find someone willing to come on.
Yeah, and it's monthly almost, this podcast again. So that's another festive treat for everybody.
2020 is going to be a big year, full of guests, full of beer.
Or at least the first two episodes will, and then it'll all go to pot. So we thought we would do something festive for the festive edition, and we are talking about Christmas films. Our favourites, our least favourites, and the fact that they don't make good ones anymore.
How does that relate to beer? I hear you all call. And I suppose a very loose angle, but beer's changed a lot in the last sort of 10 years, and our perception of it's changed, and we always reach for that beer that we once enjoyed and think, used to taste better. So it's trying to understand through the medium of Christmas film and other such visual delights how these things change and how our perception changes, I suppose.
Yeah, and how everything in the modern world is getting bigger, better, faster, stronger. And that applies both to kids' Christmas films and exceptionally strong ABV craft beer.
So alcohol-free beer.
But not alcohol-free beer.
No.
So we've got two very special guests. We've got our man Brad is back for another episode. And then we have my possibly oldest friend, Richard Soames. I was racking my brains for a comedian or film geek for several weeks before realising I lived with one for 8 years. So we'll be enjoying his massive bants along with the massive Brads. So tune into this amazing festive episode with The Bubble.
I love that stuff. Been drinking it for years. Drinking it for years. Drinking it for years. Drinking it for years. You know, they recently decided to add more hops to it. Hops to it. You know, they recently decided to add more hops to it. Hops to it. Chica, yeah, figati, outside.
So Brad and Rich, welcome.
Hello, guys. Thank you very much for having us.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
We should. I feel like we should start this podcast by laying out our favourite Christmas films, so that we can just start arguing immediately.
Are we talking official Christmas or non-official?
Let's go official first, before Brad's list of 10 films that aren't Christmas films.
I've got a rambling list. There are more than 10 because I've kind of cheated, but there are 10 categories.
10 categories, not even 10 movies.
Well, there's 10... I won't spoil it, but there are 10 entries.
Right, Brad, first up, what's your favourite actual Christmas film?
My favourite actual Christmas film, and I won't hear a word said against it, it is an actual Christmas film, it's bloody Die Hard, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, and it is it is a Christmas movie. There's Christmas trees in it. I think
It's a Christmas party, an office Christmas party. It doesn't...
Am I the only person who's not convinced it's a Christmas film then?
I don't know why we had you on.
I think it's a Christmas film in the same way that Friends is a New York sitcom. Like, it's set in New York, and there are things that happen in it that are because they're in New York. But other than that, it's really about friends, isn't it?
Isn't Die Hard the perfect sort of Christmas metaphor of good winning over evil?
Yes, but I would argue that good winning over evil is an all-year-round kind of thing.
I have to agree with that.
But Christmas trees aren't, and it is awash with Christmas trees.
Okay, right, okay. Then I suppose if your parameters are there's Christmas in it, then it is a Christmas film. But I guess the question is, what do we mean when we say, is it a Christmas film?
That would have been a much better place to start. What is a Christmas film? What's a Christmas film to you?
I think it has to make you feel good about yourself.
Die Hard, check.
It's true, yeah. No, I really side with Hans Gruber.
Okay, then that's why you don't agree it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
because you're sort of riddled with sorrow at the end as you fall from a building.
Yeah, maybe that is it. Maybe that's the difference. Like,
Why'd you side with Gruber?
I think he's got a point. He's got a point. Like, some American prick has just destroyed his Christmas party. I mean,
It wasn't Gruber's... he crashed that party, Gruber. He's the crasher.
yeah,
The
but-
crashy.
John McClane was on the invite.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, he's a very rude guest.
He was a very rude guest.
Yeah, would you invite him back the next year? Like he did a lot to help that company and some people, but he kind of trashed the place in doing so.
That Nakatomi building, it's not looking too clever these days.
Just a brownfield site in the middle of... I can't remember what city it is now, but yeah.
So yeah, I think we're giving you that, Brad. We'll have that as a Christmas movie. It contains Christmas trees and fills us with joy and hope. So I mean,
He
I
writes on a-
reluctantly agree.
He writes on a dead man's chest, ho, 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 now I have a machine gun.
I think we're going to slowly learn that Brad's knowledge of Die Hard is exceptional. It's going to be no arguing with him. Rich, what's your favourite Christmas film?
This is really hard. I think it's a really hard question. What is your favourite Christmas film? I watch a lot at Christmas to get me in the mood. But I would say...
Do you sort of ramp up? You start with the really
Yeah.
shit ones, right?
I peak out at Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2?
Home Alone 2, which is the one
The
that
one
I
with
think-
Trump in it?
I know, but that is a tragedy.
the toy store in it is just...
Yeah.
That is Christmas,
It's
really.
Christmas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it makes you feel all warm. Your cockles are warmed, and and it's like. And I think the traps are slightly better as well because he's got a whole disused house to play with, so it's more fun.
The Sticky Bandits, eh?
Are they the Sticky
The
Bandits?
Wet
Wet
Bandits.
Bandits in the first one.
The Sticky Bandit, that's the paedophile version that never got made.
The second one, they're called the Sticky Bandits.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, they're Wet Bandits. They graduate to being the Sticky Bandits. Marv is walking around with
Sticky
sticky
gloves,
stuff on
and
his
he puts
hands.
it in the coin jar.
Yeah.
Sticky
Come
Bandits.
on, come on.
Did you know that as well? That there are 5 Home Alone movies.
Yeah.
I went to the cinema to see the third one with a different...
There's no Macaulay Culkin at
Yeah.
that point, is that right? It's some other dude.
There's a girl in one of them, I believe.
Quite possibly. Is that the Christmas Vacation one? There's one which is Home Alone 4 or 5, Christmas Vacation or something. Yeah.
I mean, the first one was a vacation, just not for Kevin.
Yeah, I think this. I don't know how this one. I should have done the basic research of reading the Wikipedia article, but I think it is just they do Home Alone, but in a foreigner's house.
They were running out of ideas at that point.
Yeah, exactly. What other homes are
Farage
there?
hates that one.
Can I just raise a very good point about Home Alone? I don't think you'd be allowed to make that movie today
Go on.
due to the Tom and Jerry levels of comic book violence in it.
And you're empowering a kid to do that as well. You're saying play
it's-
with matches, basically.
He's playing them. I mean, yeah, literally playing matches. He's torturing. He's properly torturing. It's like Guantanamo Bay style torture.
Is it Guantanamo
Yeah.
Bay? Do they
I'm pretty
light
sure there's some
people to-
waterboarding going on at one point.
There's probably some There's probably some inadvertent waterboarding.
There's some electrifying, isn't there?
There's definitely some electrifying.
That's definitely.
And there's the iron to the face, which is the one
to the
that
face.
I can't even, when I know it's coming, I have to look away.
It's bad news. The one that makes my my sphincter go a bit funny.
You just pointed at your chest. You know where your
I
sphincter is.
know where it is. I just saw an is when I can't remember who it is. They're walking on the tarry stairs, and he's put a nail.
The nails.
And the nail slowly sinks into his foot.
See, I've had a nail go through my foot,
Ouchie.
and I can confirm, ow.
You've had a nail go through your foot. When did that happen?
It was on scout camp.
I thought you were about to say Skype, and I was like, that's an odd location.
Strange, sexy phone call, that one.
Yeah.
No, I was gathering wood for the fire at scout camp.
Okay.
And I trod on a nail, and it went through.
Did it go right the way through? Did it break surface?
I don't think it broke through the other end. I don't remember a lot. I was in shock, but I don't think it went all the way through because I only had a scar on the bottom thinking about it. So yeah, just.
Did you do a Merv-style scream?
I looked up in case an iron was coming for me as well.
That takes me back a little bit to Die Hard when he's running around with no shoes on.
Yeah,
On the glass.
On the glass.
On the glass.
Yeah.
With his feet wrapped in like an old T-shirt that he rips for his T-shirt.
So Christmassy. So Christmassy.
What is it about bare feet and Christmas and things you step on that hurt?
It's a very vulnerable area, I think, and maybe it's the part of ourselves that we make open to other people at Christmas.
Maybe, or a metaphor for the way we tiptoe around our relatives when
Maybe.
it comes out that they voted a certain way or something, which is what Christmas 2019 is probably going to be about.
Oh yeah, I've had my fake Christmas, and there was a lot of political chat. Mainly just calling my dad a big Tory, which annoyed him.
I feel like it's going to be a really depressing Christmas across the country for a lot of families.
Well, it's been a lovely podcast. What's your favourite Christmas film, Rob?
I think the one that I probably watched the most in my youth was The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Great choice.
Yeah, bit of Tiny Tim.
Who did not die?
Spoiler alert. Yeah, it's very well done. Michael Caine on top form.
I think it's his best work.
I think it
I
is,
don't
yeah.
think he'd disagree.
I think he'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so good because it's particularly good because he plays it so straight, right?
Yeah.
And that's the genius of it because the comedy just happens around him, and you feel rooted in the film because it's Michael Caine being really affected.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my favourite film. That is, I'm going to see it on Saturday, in fact.
Oh, at the Prince Charles Theatre?
Prince Charles
Oh, you did
Theatre,
Prince Charles-
sing-along.
Nice.
Great beer selection at the Prince Charles Theatre.
Yes,
Hackashaw, is that still...
it is. And
That's
Tasty
what-
Juice.
That's what I'll be doing. And Tasty Juice.
Yeah.
I'm going to be wasted by the end of Muppets Christmas Carol. It's only 80 minutes, so I'll see how far I can get. But I think like he said, a Christmas film should make you feel good about yourself. And I can't think of a more heartwarming story than the story of Scrooge, particularly when you add cuddly animals and high-pitched mice.
For sure. No, I think so, definitely. And especially, I just love that world that they create. It's the Muppets are so fun anyway, and then to put them to do like a Dickens crossover was just inspired.
Yeah, it's so well done,
Yeah.
throughout. And I don't think I was ever a huge Muppets fan as a kid, but that just changed it all. And it was sort of a bit of a I was going to say religious watch at Christmas time, but not a religious watch at Christmas time. But I watched it a lot. So yeah, that was my number one. So Johnny, what is your number one? Saying I've stolen or your number two because I've stolen your number one.
My terrible phrasing.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It would have to be It's a Wonderful Life. That and Marley and Me are the only films that can reliably make me cry every time I watch it.
Okay.
I've actually never seen Marley and Me. But
Never do. They make you love a dog and then kill it. That's the plot. Spoiler alert. Wonderful Life. It's a wonderful message, but it's the scene where they're all giving him money because he hasn't got any now. It makes me choke up just thinking about it. Like this man who didn't think that anyone really noticed what he did or cared what he did, and he's this savior of the community without him realizing it, but everyone else knew it, and that just breaks me.
it has the sort of sorrow that is then backed up with the joy, which it has a little bit in The Muppets, I suppose, but I mean, it doesn't get much more than...
I think Christmas films need a little bit of darkness. Obviously, Die Hard has plenty of darkness. Home Alone 2,
not a Christmas film.
if you really think about it, is a brutal film. Obviously, Scrooge's story is tragic, and It's a Wonderful
Tiny
Life.
Tim and Death's Door.
Tiny Tim, yeah.
It's quite similar. Your two favorite films are they're kind of like reverse plots of each other. It's about like one person realizing their own foibles, and then I don't know. Just think about your choices more.
Well, I think I've got a balance, haven't I?
You've got exactly
yeah. So I've thought about them, mate. What have you thought about?
Well, my second one is
worst
very
Home Alone.
embarrassing, so I'm not going to say.
Okay, well, you've got to hit us with that then.
Do you want it now? Or are we going? I don't know if we're doing it in order.
I think we should get ours done before Brad just sits here and lists the 10 for the last half hour.
There
of
could
the
be maybe
podcast.
a bonus episode of a breakdown of Brad's top 10.
My second one is a film which I know is bad and which has been rated by so many things as like one of the worst Christmas films ever.
Is it Jingle All the Way?
It is Jingle All the Way. It's so dumb. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is like really struggling to do the acting again, but
Like the way it's the acting.
Yeah.
It's really hard time doing the acting.
he really struggles. Bless him. He tries really hard, but like he just
That film does have levels he's probably not used to in his film career. Like,
Yeah.
he's got to love a child, he's got to shop.
Yeah.
That takes acting.
But he's ultimately
He does that in Last Action Hero. He loves the child in that.
Does it?
Actually, I don't know if he loves him, but maybe he does.
Arguably, he does in True Lies as well.
True Lies.
Yeah, but I think like the
Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten.
Loves
there you
kids.
go, look.
He loves kids.
There you go.
My perspective is changing.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
He's a very talented actor.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Has anybody seen the photo of his illegitimate child by the Mexican nanny? Who basically looks like a Mexican version of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Is this some sort of
way.
semi-racist joke?
No, not at all. No, it's his illegitimate child. That was,
Wait, as in this is an actual fact.
Yeah.
But does he deny it?
But I think he was denying it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so
Oh
racist.
God, I hope I'm not being racist now.
if it
I'm
looks
pretty
like-
sure
I don't
I haven't
mean
invented that.
Did you just see a
I'm pretty
Mexican
sure-
kid that looked a bit like
No,
Arnold
no, no,
Schwarzenegger?
I'm
went,
pretty
That's his
sure.
illegitimate kid.
No, I think this was a real story from a
Well,
a
I'll
few
fact check
years
it. If
ago.
it's not true, I just cut it
Please
out, Brad,
cut it
so
out.
don't worry about it.
I'm not going to be a racist at
I'll know
Christmas
you're
time.
racist.
Or
but
any other time.
Our good listeners will never fathom. So why do you love Jingle All the Way
Great
so much?
question. I think it's because, I mean, number one, I think everyone else in that film is really funny. There's Phil Hartman, who plays the neighbour, who's the voice of Troy McClure in The Simpsons and Lionel Hutz, and he's just like giving the most like dripping, like horrible, sleazy neighbour performance. He's so funny.
Is he?
And I think
So she's because he's getting divorced mid-divorce. Arnold Schwarzenegger, is he?
No, he's like working too late at the office, and
And the other guy's trying to get in there, isn't he?
yeah, exactly. And he's like, I made these perfect cookies for the neighborhood, and he's just clearly trying to get in her pants.
He
so much.
must
It's so
have
funny.
died shortly after that because
He did.
those two characters were removed from The Simpsons due to
were.
that. Because there's very few characters that have actually left The Simpsons in time, and they were the first two.
Ed Knickerbocker is more recent,
Yeah,
isn't she?
because
But
she
yeah,
passed away, and Apu because of the racial stereotype.
Yes, yeah, which is probably the correct choice in the current climate.
Not in the future climate. Is that what you're
and
implying?
probably-
there?
no,
We're
and
going back to
probably,
politics.
To be fair, in the past climate as well. He died really tragically very shortly after that film, where he was shot by his wife
Wow.
in a hotel room. Yeah,
So not a mistake.
I don't think so, but I don't think she was.
Not Oscar Pistorius style when he was just shitting at a door for fun.
What was his excuse? Was like, I thought there was a robber in there.
Yeah, but his wife wasn't in bed with him at the time.
Yeah, and there was no robber at any point.
And apparently, the neighbours had heard arguments and stuff. Like, he shot his wife.
We should just do a true crime podcast instead. Let's do that.
I like the logic. It's like, my wife's not in bed, but there's someone in the ensuite, so...
Get the gun.
Terrifying. Right, I guess we should address the elephant in the room, which is the 11% beer we accidentally brought in.
That's what I've just changed beers by mistake, and that's why everything is different.
Everything has changed now. I'd maybe grab a bit of the nice burning sky can.
Yeah, watch out.
The elephant in the room, I mean, is Brad. You're going to have to tell us what these 10 films are and how they're Christmas but not Christmas.
Do you want to do that right now? I mean, we've already kind of touched upon some of them.
Have we?
Well, yeah, obviously Home Alone.
I mean, that's a Christmas film.
Some of them are Christmas films.
Right.
Some of them aren't Christmas films.
What's your least Christmas film on that list?
My least Christmassy film on this list is...
Schindler's List.
Almost.
There is a Christmas scene in there.
Almost. So
It's Christmas list.
I'm quite a...
He's checking it twice. He's going to find out if you've been naughty or not.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's very dark.
There's been so many inappropriate moments in this Christmas-based podcast already. This is horrendous.
If you weren't dreading Christmas already because your grand's a Tory, this'll really put the fear of God in you.
I'm quite the night owl at Christmas times. So I will often stay up very late into the wee small hours of the night. You get odd programming at night times at Christmas. So they play classic old school movies, whatever. And something that I can always rely being on, I'm always going to get either The Fugitive or Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
Without fail. And I will watch either of those every single time they're on, because they're just awesome.
The Fugitive is a perfect film.
They're awesome movies.
Yeah.
Sure. So now the definition is a Christmas film is
Something
it's played
shown.
at Christmas.
Yeah.
That's a very loose. Tell you what, you said your question to me was what was the least Christmassy
That
film?
is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So that I'm answering, they are the least Christmassy films.
And I think a film about a man who eats humans is probably... Although the Krampus, you said, eats children. And
The
that's a
Krampus Eats
Christmas
Children, that is a terrible film. There is a great film called Rare Exports, which is, I believe, from Finland. And it's all about like a Krampus-type Santa Claus guy who lives under a mountain. And he comes out and he eats... I think he eats children or something. There's some weird, trippy shit going on.
Why is it called Rare Exports?
Rare Exports, a Christmas
It's
movie.
nothing to do with the Finnish export system.
I need to double check that. But basically, at one point in the film, lots of these naked old Santa Claus men are turning up in boxes, and they all get let out around this town, and they're just causing havoc. It's a little bit like Gremlins, which is number 5 on my list.
Okay, nice link.
Another Christmas movie,
It is a
definitely.
Christmas
Which is a classic Christmas movie. I don't think anyone can argue with that. Gremlins 2, take it or leave it. Gremlins 1,
Brilliant.
awesome.
Very good, yeah.
Correct.
We'll give you that.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep
Yeah,
going,
no,
man.
no.
These are actually very relevant.
Okay. So we've done Gremlins.
Yeah.
I will digress slightly.
You've got Home Alone and Home Alone 2.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
prepped stuff.
For different reasons.
Wow.
Yeah. So my thing, I put Home Alone 1 above Home Alone 2.
It's because you're right.
But Home Alone 2 is more Christmassy. because
That's I think where
it's
I fell
definitely
down.
more
Yeah,
Christmassy.
yeah.
And I also like it for
He
touched-
hides as a shepherd in the Nativity at one point in the first film.
No, but it's all about the toy store. The toy store in
Yeah.
Home Alone 2 is
Yeah.
like the epitome of like walking
Yeah.
in and seeing that like
I think and New York
And
in
New
the
York,
snow,
yeah,
I
New
think
York.
as well.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I think
pigeon
everyone
ladies.
Yeah. yeah, rather than the snow guy.
Yeah.
Snow
He
shovel
was
guy.
terrifying.
He was.
If he was so fucking nice as he tried to show, he should have smiled
Yeah.
at some point at Kevin.
And
if I'm
waved.
honest. Waved, yeah.
That is a bit of a
Not
plot
shoveled
hole.
snow at night like he was
Yeah.
burying his wife. Like so many ways he could have come across much nicer in that
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
You can probably say that for the pigeon lady as well. She doesn't need to like turn around with that particular face to a child while covering, like throwing.
But I can understand why you'd be a bit more angry if you were covered head to toe in horrid pigeons.
Yeah, there's some mitigation there. Whereas Snow Dude, unless he just really fucking hates snow.
Hate shoveling. Hate shoveling
Hate
snow.
shoveling.
God, there's snow falling in my driveway.
Chose the wrong job.
I've got 3 trilogies in my top 10, Johnny.
So technically, your list of
You've
10
only
is
got
19.
one movie.
I'm counting a trilogy as a single piece of work. So
Okay.
I've got yeah. There's no rule. There's no rules
Okay,
when it
yeah,
comes
go
to
for
me. So I've got original Star Wars trilogy. That is my childhood.
But was that shown at Christmas, or did you just have the
without
VHS?
a doubt, without a doubt. No, every Christmas, without fail. It was on ITV. It used to be on, and I think I recorded it probably every year because I never recorded over the tapes of Star Wars. So I've probably got millions of VHS of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Jedi, kicking around somewhere.
Wasn't called A New Hope then, was it though?
It's just called
Star Wars.
Yeah, just Star Wars back then.
An old disappointment.
Exactly. And my other trilogy, which is in there as well, Indiana Jones trilogy. They always played that.
There's 4 of them, isn't there?
No, there's
there's
3
not.
of them.
There's fucking not.
There's really 3 of them. And that is quite topical because my anti-Christmas movie is another trilogy. It's the Star Wars prequels. They're my anti-Christmas trilogy.
They absorb
because,
Christmas.
Yeah, well, they negate, they kind of sort of cancel out the original trilogy because I hate them as much as I love the original trilogy. So for me, they've kind of fucked Star Wars.
So
they've kind of fucked Christmas.
You're
for me.
neutral about Star Wars at this point.
To be fair, that brings you down to 13 movies.
Exactly. So what you're saying is I need to ditch another 3 movies.
I just talking about films that aren't Christmassy, but you watch at Christmas. I just remember we used to have a VHS of Sword in the Stone and Robin Hood, the 2 Disney ones. That always
They're
reminds me of
terrible Christmas movies, man.
That is a great movie. Yeah. One of my favourite Disney movies.
It's absolute. The music is brilliant. Back when I thought I was going to be a musician and I'd play open mic nights at university, I played the Not in Nottingham song, thinking everyone would be like, "Wow, amazing! He's playing that song from Robin Hood." Like, nodding, stony silence. Everyone like,
This guy does not like Nottingham.
you're in Exeter. What are you doing?
Wow. So, this feels to me, I'm really disappointed because I feel like we've jumped off like a mountain
shark.
now, and we've gone now we're just talking about films, not Christmas.
It's going to be a longer podcast than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get back on track.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not happy with the agenda. Let's get back on track.
What's the most modern film we've mentioned?
Jingle All the Way. It's pretty shit.
But that's 90s, isn't it? Jingle All the Way?
Yeah.
About
About 97, 98.
I think so, yeah, but definitely 90s.
So, why aren't there any good Christmas movies anymore? When was the last good one?
Okay, good question.
When was the last actual good one? Not like Jingle All the Way, but like
The last
classic. Or
It's quite hard though because to be like that's a classic. I often think like time has to pass for it to become a classic.
correct, but like Home Alone was like a blockbuster, and
Sure.
then is now. So it was good at the time and is still revered.
Yeah.
But-
that was also 90s. That
Yeah,
must have
yeah.
been before Jingle All the Way. I think.
It was. I think the first one was about 93.
93 and it's four.
I'm going to have to mention the film, and there's probably people at home screaming this name.
I know what you're going to say.
But I think it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Okay.
Love Actually.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's the latest classic,
People would argue it as a classic.
but
though.
it's so
People would
problematic.
incorrectly argue that it was a classic.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Love Actually?
Love Actually.
That's the new never seen Star Wars. Fuck.
You've done very well to avoid it all these years. Because that is.
I mean, it's an ITV classic.
Yes.
That is ITV2 classic, should I
Yeah,
say?
yeah.
Between that and 51st Dates, it must be just
Oh my God,
constantly
yeah.
on the telly.
And Back to the Future 2, constantly on
Yeah.
television. Never show the first one. Maybe because the first one's so successful, it's more expensive to
It
buy
might
the
be
rights.
more expensive. Yeah.
But by that measure, you should just show 3, which is the sort of bad Back to the Future.
The last time I shouted at the TV was a couple of days ago. I was accidentally watching something. It was like the best 80s films ever, and so they chatted to Christopher
Lee. Christopher
Biggins?
Evans. Christopher.
The
Lloyd.
guy who plays Doc,
Oh,
Christopher
right,
Lloyd.
sorry, yeah.
Christopher Lloyd. And
Sorry,
he says,
it's relevant
like,
to what we were just talking about. Okay, fine, sorry.
They ask him, "What's your favourite Back to the Future?" And he goes 3, and I was like, "Bullshit! You're just trying to make sure you make enough money from that film."
He has. That's the one film that is about Doc, though. It's about
Yeah,
Doc,
I mean,
not
yeah.
Marty.
But he's being super selfish
100%.
by saying, "What's your favourite?" Like, clearly not.
he's wrong.
Yeah. But he is a badass with that sniper rifle.
It's true.
Again, not a Christmas film.
Not about Christmas movies.
What are your thoughts on Love Actually? I can imagine it not being your kind of film.
I was thinking I wanted to talk about Love Actually next, but then you guys were like, oh yeah, I know what film you're going to say, and then you said Love Actually.
Well, here we are, full circle.
So I mean, what do I think of it? Not a fan. I was going to say it's too obvious for me. It's too much of a love movie. I do like the bit where I like the memeability of the bit where the guy's holding up the cards, the like Bob Dylan rip-off shit. And I love that like people have done Boris ones where he's holding up like I need a poo.
Well, Boris
did it.
Boris did one.
He did do it, didn't he?
And then people need to learn that if you're going to put a white space on a bit of TV, people will write stuff on there that you didn't intend.
So yeah, I like how topical that it is that Boris or Boris's people have thought that's a good idea. It worked really well in Love Actually. Why don't we do that? No one will take the piss out of lovable old Boris.
Yeah, everybody loves that film. This is a good move.
But Love Actually, I think, is too problematic. You can't be a Christmas film and have some pretty severe sexism being a major part of that.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know too much about the plot. I'm not really that interested, but I imagine that it's quite like it sort of targets a certain market, which is maybe why it doesn't have the rounded success of. I mean, a lot of the ones you mentioned are kids' movies, but have an adult appeal, whereas that is maybe just going hard into the sort of love route, hence the name, which then segregates maybe a younger watcher base.
Can I ask you haven't seen it?
No.
So can I ask you, if you were, imagine, in your head, what is that film?
I mean, I've probably seen enough clips of it that I know a guy wrote a Christmas song in it and he's living off the royalties. And it's got the guy from Teachers in it.
Andrew Lincoln.
Lincoln.
I like that you still remember him as the guy from Teachers and not from Love Actually and Walking Dead.
I did watch The Walking Dead, but kind of gave up on that. But that is actually, I couldn't tell you the plot. It seems like there was a lot of
That's
plots.
it.
There's a lot of plots.
It seemed like there was a lot going on. So to
I've-
watch little bits of on ITV2 and it was on in the background, I didn't really know what was going on.
To me, it's like about 10 middle-aged white men sat down and pitched a film to another white man, and the lead white man went, none of those are strong enough to make a movie, but if we put them all in, then we have a film. And they're like, well, how are we going to tie this together? And you're like, well, we'll start in an airport.
Yeah, and give Hugh Grant a voiceover job.
Yeah.
They cut an LGBT storyline from Love Actually.
No way.
Yeah. So there's like a whole story about what's her name, Frances Dortmund? No, she's the other one. The one from Harry Potter, who's in the fourth one. She's the tall lady.
Madame Maxine.
Yes, that actor's name.
Right.
She's dying of cancer, I think, and is being and she has a girlfriend who's looking after her through it, but they cut the storyline because it was too gay, apparently. No, I don't know. I think it's
too gay for Christmas.
Too gay for Christmas. This one works.
It's the gayest time of the year. That's what the
Can we bring in fact-checking Santa from a different podcast to check who the name is?
We might get sued, but we could.
Francis Delator. Francis Delator. That's
And so, do you know why they cut it?
too gay. No, I don't know. I don't know, but I think it was probably the weakest of.
God, and there's some weak fucking plots in that.
That is just utter. They just wanted to sell as much of their royalties to ITV2 as they could, so they thought, no, too many people will
Probably
get pissed off. Absolute bollocks. That's why I've not seen it.
Good. It's a principled view. Yeah.
It is now. That's why I won't watch it.
You finally found a reason. I mean, there's lots of other reasons. Like in it, just women are just like agents to be loved and have no agency over their own destiny, and just men.
This is true.
Do a plot around them. It's just
the only female character who has agency in that film gets heartbroken.
Yep.
And that is the only good bit of Love Actually is the minute and a half where you see Emma Thompson break down when she realises that her husband has bought like an amazing gift for another person, and it's horrible. In fact, it's Hans Gruber.
Fucking Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
Enabling Hans Gruber, ruining Christmas again.
I don't think Rowan Atkinson is the villain of Love Actually. I think it's probably the guy committing adultery.
Well, he didn't commit adultery, did he? Not quite.
He's as good
He was thinking about it.
No one sympathises with that character.
No, I'm not trying to say that I sympathise with him. We shouldn't say it was adultery. It was a necklace, and at the end of the film, she's thinking about taking him back. So there's a lovely Christmassy finish for you. Yeah.
Other modern Christmas classics.
Yeah.
Is Love Actually? When was that made?
2003.
Is it that old?
Maybe late. Maybe it's definitely the 2000s.
So we can't really think of anything sort of post early noughties that captures our imagination in the same way as, early 90s, which seems to. Christmas writing must have been at its peak then.
Yep, apparently so. Yeah. You look at what Netflix has put out.
Yeah.
Their catalogue of Christmas films is shocking.
But they're going off the Hallmark model, which is, do you guys know Hallmark movies? Have you seen?
Yeah, it's like the card company, and it is like very beige.
Explain it to me.
So it's basically Christmas card themed movies. They've basically just said, we've got a formula that works, we'll just write a series of scripts based on this. So they often reuse the same set, but in different ways. It usually involves someone, like an out-of-town person coming to a small town and being charmed by the village, and they'd learn the true meaning of Christmas. There's always like a partner, but they've got a partner in the city who doesn't understand Christmas, and then usually like a worker of some description, which says a lot about the class system in America, is the kind of love interest.
So it's like somebody falling in love with somebody below their class, and it's scandalous in some way.
I've thought of a modern one that is good, that maybe uses a lot of the Hallmark system. Elf.
Okay, Elf. Elf is the only other modern classic I could think of.
So it's good. It has the horrible Scrooge in the city. It's got the sort of naive, elf man, the naive Zoe Deschanel. Yeah, is that sort of the Hallmark classic? I suppose?
You have given Hallmark way more credit than they deserve with that comparison, because Elf is positively nuanced by comparison. No, Hallmark is like broad strokes rom-com, and it's very much like attractive people in a very pretty part of a town in America. There's loads of snow,
so
and everything's perfect. And there's no stakes at any point. The stakes is always just like, will there be enough hay bales for the nativity performance on Tuesday? And it's like, you know what? Yeah.
Turns out there are.
There are. Or people will stand. Like there's not enough. It's not Die Hard. There's no Die Hard stakes in that movie. Any of those movies. Anyway. Yeah.
If only Alan Rickman could come back and add some stakes to those kinds of films.
If they put a Hans Gruber in every Hallmark movie, they'd be onto a winner.
It's just like, what was he doing? But he had to have scaled up to his assault on that tower. So maybe he was just in small-town America fucking up Christmases for different people. And that's what Netflix are building up to.
No one's done a Hans Gruber origin story.
No!
That would be perfect. I love the idea that he only operates at Christmas.
It's like a bad Santa, which is a hilarious film.
Yeah. That was 80s or 80s?
Yeah, that was pretty old. The Christmas film, so everyone thinks it's a Christmas film and it's not, but it is. Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, that's such a good point. I didn't even occur to me.
We haven't touched upon Bill Murray, really. For me, Bill Murray is Christmas, right?
Yeah. He even has a thing called Bill Murray's Christmas.
That is
on
brilliant.
Netflix.
That is brilliant.
You've got Groundhog Day, you've got Scrooged, you've got Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2. I can keep going.
Are Ghostbusters movies
Continue.
I think they are Christmas movies.
I think he'd run out.
Are they?
There's more. Caddyshack.
That's not a Christmas movie.
No, it's not a Christmas movie. Okay, I've run out.
He definitely passes for making you feel, oh, now it's Christmas.
Yeah, he's got that fuzzy. He makes me feel fuzzy.
Yeah. He warms the
Because what's
cockles.
interesting, when you talk about the Hallmark films, like these Netflix ones that are all based on these pretty people in small towns, that doesn't make me feel good about myself. I'm from a small town, and I look at people who are beautiful, and I'm like, well, I'm not them. That doesn't feel that Christmassy to me. Whereas Bill, who is a classically not attractive man, having the time of his life, meeting the lady who became the L'Oreal lady, killing himself about 50 times.
It's got the darkness that you wanted.
It's got the darkness that Christmas has to have.
darkness.
Yeah. That's a film there were stakes.
Yeah.
Literal and metaphorical stakes.
Trapped forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Has anyone seen Last Christmas, which came out this Christmas?
That's the one with Amelia Clarke in, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
it's all of the music is Wham.
Yes, yeah.
So they've very cynically sort of made a film. Now George is dead.
So what they've done is they've taken the Hallmark thing and then made one of those cards that does music when you open it.
Basically, yeah. That's the equivalent in card form.
That's bleak.
Have you seen it?
Have you seen it?
I have seen
You've
it.
seen it?
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, so do you guys want? Can you?
Yeah.
I'll tell
I'm
the
not
listeners.
sure you can spoil it, to be honest.
I think they did. They base Last Christmas. The whole plot of Last Christmas is based on one Wham lyric. In fact, the first lyric of Last Christmas.
Drinks are free.
Is that the?
That's Club Tropicana.
Yeah, of course.
So it's Last Christmas I Gave You My Heart.
Yeah, it's that. That's the plot. Like, it's a heart transplant story, and
What? So they literally?
Yeah.
Oh my
so it's
God.
ridiculous. Like, it's so the and the thing is, like, because it's happening, and there's this guy, and they sort of do the thing of falling in love, but he has to mysteriously leave quite a lot, and they always only have scenes together, and whenever it's like, did you see that guy? Everyone's like, what guy? You're insane. And you kind of you clock it. I clocked it about half an hour in, and I was like, wait, have they just taken the first lyric of Last Christmas and thought that's a film?
So does she give her
So
the heart
she's
to
got,
transplant, and then
she has been ill,
okay.
and then doesn't remember much, and then sort of meets this guy who.
I gave you my heart before, baby.
Yeah, precisely. But turns out he's been killed by a truck.
So he's a ghost.
He's a ghost the whole time.
It's like Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense meets Wham.
Meets
Very much
Wham.
is. Yeah,
Meets.
I mean, I'd make
Ghost.
that film. I like that pitch, but they don't nail it.
No, it is a bit like, but rather than being like, oh my God, Bruce Willis was a ghost the whole time, you're like, yeah, that guy was clearly a ghost from the beginning.
Wow.
And
It's
also,
super weird around everyone. So why is this a surprise for people?
It's also a little bit Fight Club, isn't it? Kind of. So
Yeah,
he's like
absolutely.
talking to her.
It
She's
does
kind
have
of
the
mad.
like Tyler Durden reveal as well, where she flashes back to all the
Pixies
places.
playing so wonderfully.
So to be fair to them,
Yeah.
that's got darkness. She's imagined a friend as part of trauma of having a heart transplant.
True.
What? How does it end?
What spoils it? Because it's not the Wham. I mean, the Wham's fucking
Yeah.
great. We
Yeah.
all know that.
Well, it is. The thing is, it feels like a real missed opportunity because Wham is great, but like the tracks aren't used in the same way that great musical films use music.
Like Mamma Mia.
Yeah, it's more like Baby Driver in that the music is great, but and like actually no, that's a bad example because Baby Driver fits the visuals really well, but leaves you with no like story.
Yeah.
And I think that with Wham, it's just like the music is entirely incidental, and it could be any band.
How do they cram Club Tropicana in?
I don't think they do get Club
What?
Tropicana in. I don't think they do, and it's like, well, if you're not
I
going
would
to do
have put
that,
it in an elevator.
yeah, there's a lot of elevator scenes actually, where they're like going up and down the department stores.
Endless scenes going up and down in a building to get
Tick.
as much as they can. We bought the rights, so we've got to use it.
But yeah, no, it's bad. Like, so it was written by Emma Thompson and a playwright called Bryony Kimmings, who's amazing. So it's like people who know what they're doing, but just
I
doesn't.
thought
hang
Emma would have
together.
learned the lessons from Love Actually.
I just had a weird brain fart about this year. Amelia Clarke,
Yeah.
a dodgy ticker. She gets stabbed in the heart at the end of Game of Thrones.
Oh my God, is it a like parallel universe sequel?
It must be. It's like a weird fringe universe kind of
Yeah.
crossover stabbed in the heart in one, heart transplant in the other.
Again, I think you guys are giving far too much credit to these Christmas films.
We're also going to have to put all the spoiler warnings at the start of this podcast.
Oh, I think it's got a yeast infection. Yeast infection.
Here's my parallel. This is where the idea came from many weeks ago, before I remembered that I have a friend who loves films and is a comedian. And I was sat there and I was trying to work out what we do for this podcast. And I worked out that I haven't had a modern Christmas beer I've truly loved. They're all old Belgian classics. And obviously Belgians do not make good Christmas films that I'm aware of, but they make great Christmas beer.
Yes.
Have you ever had a modern... What do you drink at Christmas, Rich?
What do I drink at Christmas?
It doesn't have to be beer.
Well, it's a long period of time, isn't it? I guess I drink different things. What's my beer of choice? Or what's my
go on. What's your beer
everything
of choice?
I drink a lot of IPA anyway, as you know. So I don't know. I think maybe at Christmas I'll try and have something a bit more stouty. A Rockin' Rudolph I've had in many pubs, which is...
Who makes that?
I tend to do that just to annoy you.
I remember having that beer at Christmas when I was working in the pub that I worked at while I was at uni, and really enjoying Rockin' Rudolph. I think it might be Green King. I probably shouldn't be admitting this on...
It's a sort of ruby kind of...
Yeah, ruby ale.
You want something that warms a little bit more. I haven't really understood when breweries release like a milkshake IPA. Like,
yeah, Lervig did that for Christmas one year.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I don't want a vanilla-y...
But like, not even necessarily Belgian Christmas beers, but just Belgian beers in general are perfect for Christmas because they're sort of rich and they're full-bodied and they're special, and you can get away with drinking a 12% beer before 12 o'clock at Christmas when you can't the rest of the year.
No one questions it.
There's reasons behind it, but it is that sort of rich, sort of warming feeling that, mince pies and mulled wine and a big Belgian beer. And you're right, no one's really tried to mimic that in the modern sense. There's a few stouts knocking around. Bahala actually made one, which was nice, but they make a lot of big, massive stouts anyway. So
it was more just like, here's another one.
Yeah,
it's got cranberries.
We'll put winter in front of it, and yeah.
Well, I think that's a lot. That's what happens in the beer industry and probably in the film industry as well. Like, we've got this plot. How do we make it Christmassy?
What is, on a, not a side note, on a relevant note, your favourite Christmas beer?
St. Bernardus. No, Stille Nacht. No, St. Bernardus. Don't know. One of the two.
Yeah.
They're both.
Stille Nacht's amazing.
Yeah. I think I would say Stille Nacht, but it's so hard to get hold of, whereas St. Bernardus, everyone can try that, and it's just the best thing ever. In fact, we're filming Brad and I are filming our live Christmas show tonight, and we'll be cracking both of those. And also our favourite beer from our video, which went live today, our Christmas video, which was...
Nutcracker?
It was an ice bock. I brought the ice bock. I've run out of Nutcracker.
Okay.
So a nice distilled bock. So it's going to be a silly session. That will be live on YouTube by the time you listen to this podcast. So sorry we passed out at 35 minutes.
What makes a Stille Nacht, or whatever the other one was, what makes them so special and so Christmassy? I mean, apart from the fact that Stille
very
Nacht
boozy.
It's German for Silent Night, yeah.
But it's just both boozy.
Very boozy, big, but like really well balanced, and you can enjoy drinking a bottle or two of it without sort of...
It's got to be... We were having this discussion, me and Brad, about... It's probably got to be sweet. It's got to be boozy. It's got to be
cheese. It's got to go with cheese
and mince pies.
Would you have a saison at Christmas?
I have saison du pont with Christmas dinner.
You have that, as in you will have that.
I always do.
Oh, right.
Or I always try to, because it's awesome. Like with turkey and bread sauce, it cuts through a stodgy potato or crispy potato rather. That's my choice, and then I get on the red wine for pudding.
Yeah, I was going to say I end up on the red wine. I think most people end up on the red wine at
Or
Christmas?
port.
Or port. Yeah.
You skip the red straight up to port.
Just didn't fuck around. I think you want a porty, like you want that in a beer, that kind of dark, sweet, terrifyingly alcoholic. That's what I want in a Christmas
Which is
beer.
pretty much Belgian beer in a nutshell.
exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I can remember my first, 20 years ago, when I was 17, going to Bromley. There was a Belgian beer bar. I believe it was Belgo, but I don't know why it would have been in.
So that would have come from Cape Direct.
Yeah. And it was in Bromley. It was like near the shopping centre or in the shopping centre. And me sort of first trying Belgian beers, it was Leffe, stuff like that. And it just opened up a whole new world to me. 20 years ago. And I still wouldn't really know how to top Belgian beers at Christmas time.
Nope.
I just think they're perfect.
Is there a reason that there are? Because I can't think of any that are classic beers at Christmas time. You've mentioned some that I've kind of never heard of.
It's an interesting thing that beers never manage to achieve, which is to make beer a Christmassy drink.
Yeah.
Sort of transcend a particular brand or something. And then
Yeah,
just
it's like
become
because New Year is champagne, right?
Sure.
Christmas is Bucks Fizz,
port for
port.
me. Yeah.
We've established that, Brad.
But that's the thing. You don't say which make of port. It's just port.
Yeah.
You don't go beer.
But
you never
yeah.
say beer.
True. Yeah.
You have to be a real Christmas nerd to be like, what beers am I going to have this Christmas?
Yeah. So what do you need to do as a beer manufacturer to nail Christmas in a glass?
Well, this is it. I think everyone's searching, and it's not milkshake fucking IPA.
No.
It's the Belgians, and the Belgians have the kitsch branding and the kitsch approach to everything to make it work.
Yeah, I think as well, a big part of Christmas is nostalgia, and Belgian beer has that, whereas it's a lot harder for a modern brewery to sort of swan in and steal that. And maybe in 10 years' time, we can look back on them and be like, milkshake IPAs really remind me of Christmas. But at the moment, they're not quite there yet. Whereas the Belgian beer has that tradition, it has that longevity.
Yeah.
It's a little bit old school as well. They love a Gothic font. And then it has the sort of the right markings of it's rich and it's special occasion beer. Like, you don't go and drink Belgian beer all the time, and you try not to drink it before midday, whereas at Christmas you're like,
I like that you say you try.
Well, yeah,
as if you
sometimes it
fail
happens.
sometimes.
I definitely do.
Had a quad this morning, damn
but
it.
you can at Christmas crack open a Rochefort and be like, this is good.
This is fine.
This is good.
This is normal.
You can get away with it. You can have a gin and tonic at 11:30 on Christmas morning and no one bats an eyelid. Try doing that in June.
What's the love actually of Christmas beers?
Whoa.
Fucking Budweiser, I reckon.
It's just generally.
They've really ramped up the adverts. They're all king of beer stuff at Christmas time. It's always on
go
TV.
for it at Christmas.
Coca-Cola, Budweiser, they're the adverts that dominate for me in the drinks market at Christmas time.
I'm trying to think of something that everybody loves, but if you really think about it, is awful.
Left.
Maybe it is Left.
Yeah.
Could be Left.
Wow. Shots
Or
fired.
any pale ale made by a regional cask brewer.
Yeah. An old sexist sort of pump clip. And
So what's the love actually of beers? So it's got too many plots.
Too much going on.
Too much going on.
Yeah, but there's also real tragedy at the heart.
loved by the masses, but it's actually a bit shit.
If it's too many plots and it's a little bit controversial, then the Krampus beer we had by Brewdog Overworks, which tasted like, when you brush your teeth and then have orange juice. You're like,
I don't know that.
ooh, that's intense.
Did that have a mad balsamic-y twang to it as well?
There's also, it's a dark sour ale aged in cognac barrels with orange zest and star anise, and it was just,
Whoa.
it was, massive. But I think it would be rude to call that the Love Actually. At least they tried, you know. With
definitely
Love
not-
Actually,
it's
they
not as
just
popular as Love Actually,
farted
yeah.
a film out of 10 people, and it became a instant classic.
Instant classic.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're sadly out of time, by which I mean I think this has run its course. I'd love to know what's going to be the first Christmas film you watched this year, or if you've already watched one, what was it? And then we'll close out. I'll go first. Mine is Muppets for Christmas Carol on Saturday, and I've purposefully avoided all Christmas music and Christmas films so that Muppet's going to hit me hard. I'm going to take a Kermit across the face.
Accompanied with a couple of tasty juice. I'm going to go maybe with A Wonderful Life, actually. We can back and forth on this, but yeah.
Have the Kleenex.
Yeah.
Because you'll cry.
Whoa. Not the black and white, mate. It's not the Dark Ages.
It's not the Sticky Bandits.
Rich?
Well, unfortunately, I have already watched Last Christmas, and also my partner Katie, she loves watching Channel 5 Christmas movies on at the moment, which are they're basically the Hallmark movies. So I have
less budget than Netflix, basically.
Yeah. So I've incidentally seen already about 10 that I hate. And I'm looking forward to watching a Christmas movie that I'm looking forward to seeing, which will be Home Alone 2.
Quite right. Will you watch Home Alone 1 first?
No.
It stands alone as a piece
No,
of art.
because I kind of get it. I remember the plot.
Yeah. That only is sort of applicable when you haven't seen the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Brothers.
I'm going to go a bit off the wall here. Just why not? I'm going to watch...
Because you've been on the wall for the whole thing.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
Well, last Christmas, my favourite thing that I watched was the Bros documentary After the Screaming Stopped.
Oh, yeah.
Great
and
shout.
I saw that it's just come back on iPlayer. So I'm going to fucking watch that because it's just genius. It's an absolute roller coaster of a ride.
So many good
So many amazing one-liners.
phrases. Yeah.
I mean, how fucking stupid are they? But they come out with these incredible one-liners. Much like myself sometimes.
And there's plenty of darkness when you think about the fact that they're real people. So it's got
Although,
everything.
No Christmas tree, so technically it doesn't count. Sorry.
Wow.
But it will make you feel better about yourself.
Just visually not quite there. Right, guys, we hope you have a really wonderful Christmas. We'll be back in the new year, probably for 12 episodes next year, but possibly not. And we'd love to know your Christmas faves, favourite beers, favourite movies. So do get us at Beer Channel on Twitter and what's the other thing? Instagram at Craft Beer Channel. And of course, check out our sponsors, Beer Merchants. You've missed the last shipping deadline for Christmas, but if you want some New Year booze, then there's still time.
And plenty of Still an Act.
All the still an act.
I drove over to the Sonic Drive-In, ordered a jalapeno burger, washed it down with beers, I said, Stone Cold, why have one when you can have them both?